Today we will talk about a remarkable Roman critic, and his name is Horace. Horace was a remarkable Roman critic, and he was born in Augustan age, right, in Rome. Uh, you know about, you can say, neoclassical period in later 17th century, right, in England, right? That neoclassical period was, you can say, it mis the writers of the neoclassical period, right? They try to imitate the writers and the norms and the classical, you can say, ideas of Augustan period, right? So it was a period, right, where the poets had, you can say, dominant place, and they were, you can say, considered more prominent than philosophers. In the age, you can say, of Aristotle or Plato in Greece, the philosophers, right, they were considered more important or more significant than, you can say, the poets, right? So during this time, poets had, you can say, more significance than the, you can say, philosophers. Now, Roman emperors also provided patronage to these poets, right? What is patronage? Patronage is some kind of, you can say, assistant, maybe material, maybe financial. Now, some great writers, Virgil, Horace, Ovid, and Livy, are, you can say, products of this period, Augustan period. Now, Horace, right, what was his contribution in literary criticism? Horace contributed in the development of, you can say, literary criticism, right? And he wrote Ars Poetica. What is Ars Poetica? It is an epistle, and an epistle means a former and elegant letter, right? The letter is a kind of, you can say, an instruction, or it is didactic and instructive in nature, right? So, Ars Poetica is written, right, in a dialogue form, right? And that's why I would also like to associate Horace with John Dryden, right? John Dryden, who followed him, and in his essay on dramatic poesy, we have four characters, and they are, you can say, discussing, they are communicating, right? About poet, about the function of poetry, about the role of critic, about the nature of poetry, and also they are also talking about the periods, various periods, right? One of them is also an advocate of, you can say, neoclassical period, right? So they were discussing. What was my point? My point was that, see, like Ars Poetica, right? Dryden's essay on dramatic poesy is also in a dialogue form. Now, let us come to the uh, writer, the critic. I have I have a habit of, you can say, deviating one writer to the other. This is not, you can say, uh, you can say, you can say, an indirect deviation, but this is a kind of, you can say, deliberate direct deviation. Why? Because I would like to associate two writers, right? So if we can collaborate two writers, we can remember more, right? Because we are students of English literature, we must know about Horace, and we also, you can say, we also have some information regarding, you can say, Dryden too, right? So these collaborations and, you can say, deliberations, or you can say associations, are parts of my lecture. So forgive me, please. Now, this is about, you can say, Horace, and Horace followed his, you can say, masters. One of them is Aristotle, of course, and Aristotle, Aristotle, who has provided us the, you can say, the definition of tragedy, right? Horace also presented his own views, and according to him, what the function of great poetry, is to delight and to instruct. Now, what is the meaning of delight? To provide pleasure, to entertain audience, to entertain readers, and to instruct means to teach readers, to teach audience. So I have used the you can say short form dia, right? So what is the function of great tragedy? Means great poetry, according to Horace. According to Horace, the function of great poetry is to you can say delight and instruct the audience. Now let me also associate the you can say as far as in the context of you can say the function of poetry. Let me associate Plato and Aristotle, right? Let me go back to Plato. Plato, according to Plato, what is poetry? Poetry is a copy of a copy of a copy, right? According to Plato, poetry is mere imitation. It is an imitation of imitation of imitation, and that is why it is thrice removed from reality. And according to Plato, a poem is a kind of irrational product. It is a kind of metaphysical product, and that's why it is not useful to society. That is why it is not, you can say, according to Plato, it is not, you can say, significant product. And that's why Plato says that, okay, it is just an irrational product, and he was, you can say, a kind of moral thinker, all right, or a moral philosopher. And that's why he said that it arouses poetry, a poem arouses some baser instinct of human beings, right? So it had not great or significant or valuable influence on human being, and that's why keeping in mind the socio-cultural scenario of his age, he said that I would like to banish the poets, right, from my ideal land. He said, from my ideal land, that is the republic, right? So he declared, or he claimed that I would not like, right, I would not like to welcome, right, the poets in my ideal land, or I will rather banish these poets from my ideal land, because they are not doing great work, right? They are not contributing to the society. They are not real contributor to the society, and that's why I would like to banish them, right? Now, let us also have some views on poetry, right, given by or provided by Aristotle. Now, Aristotle says that, sir, because Aristotle was a student of Plato, so he said that, sir, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you that poetry is a copy, right? But it is not a mere copy. It is a creative copy, and that is why creativity is there. So poetry is not mere imitation, it is a creative imitation, and that's why it has its own importance. And I do not agree with you, he said to his teacher Plato, that I do not agree with you because poetry has also some good functions, and poets are also contributors to the society, because they also provide, you can say, some morals to society. And that is why in poetics, right, in his poetics, he provides us the definition of tragedy, that tragedy then is an imitation of action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude. In language embellished with each kinds of artistic ornaments, the several kinds being found in the separate part of the play and not of narrative. So pity and fear affecting the proper purgation or catharsis of these emotions. Now, the word proper purgation is very important, and the word catharsis is very important because it is associated with Aristotle. Now, according to Aristotle, the function of poetry is cathartic, right? Means it provides us a kind of relief. It provides us a kind of clarification. It purifies us. It's a psychological function, right? So while when we go to theater or when we read a book, right, it provides us a kind of moral lesson, right? And that means that cleanses our soul, that cleanses our you can say ideology, or ideas, right, in the context of particular events or things, right, in the context of the world or realities. Right? So that's why Aristotle says, "Oh, sorry, sir, I agree with you that it's copy, but I don't agree that it's mere copy. It's a creative copy, and it has also its function." Now, what I have done right now, I have, you can say, I have compared Plato with Aristotle, and I am also now pointing out, or I would like to point out also Horace, right? So Horace, because Plato and Aristotle were great Greek writers or philosophers or critics, you can say literary critics. Okay, while this is a Roman poet, this is a Roman writer, Roman critic, you can say. So Horace was a Roman critic, and according to him, the function of great poetry is equal to dia, to delight and instruct the audience, right? Miss poetry provides us some entertainment as well as it instructs us, right? So the function of poetry is to teach us, right? So it has also moral purpose, and it also provides us or provide us uh, some entertainment. Okay, so now he also points out that the poet should have technical perfection in composition, right? So while composing a poem, he must have, you can say, technical skills, or he must keep in mind, you can say, technical perfection. So while composing a poem, he must compose it with some kind of technical perfection. Now, he also said that what is the role of critic, or what are the functions of a critic? So a sensible critic, according to Horace, should expose flaws, or you can say drawbacks, faults. What is the meaning of flaws? Means kind of drawbacks, or you can say faults, right? So a sensible critic has his duty to expose these drawbacks. And what are these drawbacks? Harsh words, ugly lines, obscure passages, and defective phrases, right? So a good critic, a sensible critic, should find out some drawbacks from a poem, from a writing, from a literary work, and these four kind of, you can say, flaws Horace had discussed. These are harsh words, ugly lines, obscure passages, and defective phrases, right? So in a poem, he must find out harsh words. In a poem or in a work, he must find out, you can say, he must expose, right? Ugly lines, right? And obscure, or you can say, the passages which are, you can say, difficult to understand. The passage in which reader finds, you can say, some kind of difficulty in understanding, right? And defective phrases. According to him, the poet should follow brevity. You know, brevity is the soul of, you can say, brevity is the soul of good poetry, or brevity is soul of good work. So poem should be brief. And in a simple way, a poem should be brief. Then he says that a poet should also follow plausibility. Means, what is plausibility? Very important word is, you can say, it is a very important word, plausibility. Now, plausibility means the quality of seeming reasonable or probable. The quality of seeming reasonable or probable. So in writing, a poet should follow brevity and plausibility. Now, the word plausibility, I must elaborate it. According to Horace, he conveys us that the writer should write about probable improbabilities. You can also comment me if you think that, okay, sir, I don't agree with you. So he says that a poet should write about probable improbabilities, or you can say possible impossibilities. What it means? It means that a good poet writes poetry, and good poetry, you can say, has a quality of estranging, or you can say making strange the objects which are in the real world. Now let me make it easy for you. So the duty of a poet is to make a thing which is real, right? You can say disfamiliar or strange. And that is why he presents a familiar thing as if they are new, or as if they are unfamiliar to us, right? So basically we all you can say we all see trees, right, hills, mountains, but the poet presents the sky, the mountain, the tree, the cloud in such a way, such a unique way, let me add it, such a unique way that they seem to us unfamiliar, right? So the real things, real events are presented to us in such a way that they are strange to us. So this is a kind of you can say presentation skill of a writer. This is a kind of, you can say, skill in which a poet depicts things to us. So the things, or the worldly things, or the real things are presented to us in some newer way, in some newer context. In miss he tries to decorate the things, or he presents us these things in such an innovative way, right? That they seem to us new, though they are familiar, right? We see the cloud, but the cloud described by Kalidasa is different from the cloud we see, right, in the monsoon. Or you can say we all see a river, right? But the river described in the romantic poetry, right, is different from the river we experience, right? So that's why this is called, you can say, making the thing stand to us, though the thing is real. But poet has a quality, a skill, right, to provide us a picture, right, of a real world in such a way, a real event or real thing, right, real element in such a way that it seems, you can say, stands to us. Now let me also associate Horace with Coleridge. Later on we will study Coleridge too, right? So Coleridge believed that poetry transforms mere objects of reality into stand things to arouse feelings of wonder, amaze, and interest in readers. Now, what is, see what a poet does? Now, the poet transforms. So the work of poet, what is the job of poet, or what is the task of poet? What the poet does? The poet transforms mere object of reality into stand things. Simply, the poet makes things unfamiliar to us, right? So he has that skill, and that's why he transforms these objects into strange things. Why? Because he wants to arouse feelings of wonder, amaze, and interest in readers, right? And that is why whenever we read about an object, about a tree, about a cloud, about a river, about a hill, about a mountain. In poetry, in poem, we are amazed. We find it wonderful. We find it interesting, and it attracts us. And that provides us, is, you can say, some inspiration, some motivations to read more. And that is why this thing which is presented as if it is strange to us, as if it is not familiar to us, right? That attracts us. That description, right? It it provides us somewhat motivation, somewhat, you can say, inspiration. It inspires us to read more, right? And that is why poetry or a poet has a function. What is the function? A poet transforms the things into stands. It means poet transforms real objects into unfamiliar objects. Right? He has this skill. Now, let me also tell you about Coleridge's idea. Right? He, in his critical opinions or in his criticism, right? He talks about fancy, and he talks about imagination, and he divides imagination into two: primary imagination and secondary imagination, right? When he talks about secondary imagination, he says that the secondary imagination is an artistic faculty which dissolves, diffuses, and dissipates in order to recreate reality, right? So, secondary imagination, right, which is the skill of, you can say, which is possessed by, you can say, or which is the skill of a writer, a poet, right? And this secondary imagination helps. It is an artistic faculty which is there in a poet, right? And this skill or this imagination, this faculty, helps the poet to dissolve, diffuses, and dissipate a thing, and the thing is recreated, right, into something which is strange. Means it is a kind of recreation of reality. So reality is once again revisited or recreated, and it is, you can say, it is described as if it is not familiar to us, right? I have now associated Coleridge with, you can say, Horace, right? So let me very frankly say here that we have studied number 1 Plato, number 2 Aristotle, number 3 Horace, and now number 4 Coleridge. Okay, next let me see. Now there is one word in literary criticism that is called defamiliarization, and this word has been fashioned by, or it is invoked by, Russian formalist Victor Lavatsky, right? I have misspelled it. I think the work is art as technique, right? I don't know I'm right or wrong. Please comment. Your comment is welcome. Okay. So art as technique, I think that essay is art or article. It is an article. Art as technique. I have misspelled it. Let me tell you very frankly. I have misspelled it. It is a deliberate effort. Okay, that's it. Not okay. So art as technique. So Lavatsky talks about defamiliarization. And according to Lavatsky, defamiliarization refers to a literary technique. So it is a technique of a poet. It is a literary technique, right, of presenting familiar things in unfamiliar and strange way to jot readers out of automatic perception and encourage deeper engagement with the subject. Now, See, this critic, Lawsky said that what is defamiliarization? It is a literary technique. And what is it? It is a kind of skill, art to present familiar things in an unfamiliar and strange way. Why? To jot readers. Means to deviate readers, right? So that they cannot automatically perceive the meaning, or you can say the context, or you can say the content regarding a thing. And that is why a tree which is presented in a strange way, right? This exercise, or you can say what is the outcome? The outcome is we do not perceive it automatically that, oh, it's a tree. I know the tree. That's not possible because it is presented in a strange way, right? So the familiar thing is presented in an unfamiliar way or in a strange way, just to prevent us to perceive about its qualities, its features, its skills, its nature, its essence automatically. So we cannot automatically perceive about that thing, right? So one of the features, or we can say most of the features, are conveyed to us in a kind of unfamiliar ways, right? And that, see, what is the outcome? The outcome is, number one, it prevents us to perceive its meaning, its interpretation automatically, right? Number one, because when we experience a familiar thing, we understand, okay, this is a tree. What is the meaning of tree, and what is it, and what is its contribution to, you can say, flora and fauna and flora, right? But we do not, right? We are prevented. Why? Because it is estranged, because it is made unfamiliarized. Secondly, that is why the description of a tree or a description of that object motivates us, right? And it leads us to deeper engagement, right? So we do not try to perceive it automatically, but we want to delve deep, or we want to research about, or we want to associate with, or we wish to have some deeper understanding of that object, right? This is the concept of defamiliarization by Lawsky. So I was just talking about Horace, but I have associated some critics, right? Thank you, and Vande Mataram to all. I wish you will comment, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.